Welcome to Conversations with Kate, the podcast where we delve into the stories, ideas and insights that shape our lives. Join me as we engage in thoughtful discussions with fascinating guests from all walks of life. Get ready to listen, learn and connect.
All right, so today we're diving into the life and mind of René Girard. Born in Avignon, France, he had quite the intellectual journey, didn't he?
He absolutely did. From studying medieval history at the École Nationale des Arts, all the way to becoming a professor at Stanford University. That transition alone, crossing disciplines, moving continents, speaks volumes about his adaptability and genius.
Right. And then there's his crowning achievement, being elected to the Académie Française in 2005. I mean, that's the pinnacle of intellectual recognition in France. But let's talk about what really put him on the map. Mimetic theory.
Mimetic theory. This is where he really turned a corner in how we understand human behaviour. Girard's argument was bold. A lot of what drives human desire isn't organic. It's imitative. We want what others want, and that surprisingly creates conflict.
Exactly. It's like, I don't know, think about kids fighting over one toy. You see it, right? They don't want the toy itself as much as they want it because someone else does.
Absolutely. And Girard extended that idea further. He explored how this imitation, what he calls mimetic desire, not only drives these small-scale rivalries, but also fuels societal conflicts on a much larger scale. It's a concept he dissected in works like Deceit, Desire and the Novel.
Yeah, and he tied it into literature. Shakespeare, Dostoevsky, Proust, iconic stuff, but he didn't stop there. Girard even linked mimetic desires to the Bible, arguing that it reveals how this imitation leads to violence. What's so cool, though, is how he flipped it, showing that Christianity offers a way out of this cycle.
It's fascinating how much of Girard's work makes sense when you think about competitive environments today. It's, let me share this from a startup pitch event I attended last month. You could feel the tension in the air. As one founder pitched an idea, you could see others recalibrating, almost shifting their desires in real time to match what seemed more desirable. That's Girard's mimetic rivalry in action.
Oh, totally. And it's so universal. He really cracked open this idea that our desires don't come out of nowhere. Instead, they're shaped by what we see everyone else striving for.
Right. And we see the fallout too. When we're all gunning for the same things, you get competition and conflict. And not just in startups. The pressures scale up across industries and communities.
And as Girard showed, this dynamic doesn't just stop with personal ambition. It can get pretty destructive. So, all this mimetic rivalry and conflict Girard identified leads naturally to one of his most compelling concepts, the scapegoat mechanism. Kate, how did he define it exactly?
Girard's idea here is both simple and profound. Societies, when facing internal tensions or conflicts, often look for a scapegoat, a person or group onto which they can project blame. By targeting and expelling this scapegoat, the collective feels a sense of restored harmony, at least temporarily.
The classic blame one to save the many approach. And this isn't just abstract theory. I mean, historical and cultural rituals totally back this up, right?
Exactly. Girard analysed ancient myths, biblical stories, and Greek tragedies to show how this mechanism plays out. Take the story of Oedipus, for example. He becomes a literal scapegoat for Thebes' woes, exiled to bring peace to the city. But the twist is, this isn't about any actual guilt of the scapegoat. It's about maintaining societal stability.
Right. And the same pattern is all over modern history and even tech teams if you think about it.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what's interesting? The Bible also critiques this whole process. Girard would point to stories like Jesus' crucifixion, where the scapegoat is innocent, and the collective violence is exposed, not justified. It's a kind of challenging revelation about how we deal with conflict.
And that guiltless scapegoat idea, it's heavy stuff when you unpack it, but let's bring it closer to home. I've seen this dynamic play out in tech teams I've worked with, like say there's friction, a missed deadline for example. There's this pressure to find one person to pin it on, even when the root problem is usually systemic. It's like a modern scapegoat ritual, if you will.
Exactly. And Girard shows how this process is hardwired into human behaviour. We seek resolution by uniting over a common culprit, even if it's unfair. But it's a short-term fix at best. The underlying problem doesn't actually go away.
It's wild to think about how deeply this is etched into the way we act, both historically and in everyday life. Like, I've seen firsthand how removing the scapegoat or even just addressing the blame game can shift team dynamics completely. It takes, actual reflection, not just pointing fingers.
And it ties back to mimetic desire too, doesn't it? The tensions that build from everyone imitating the same goals or chasing the same resources often create the need for a scapegoat in the first place. Girard's point is that these are deeply intertwined dynamics.
Yeah, and they can escalate quickly. Like, unchecked, it's not just about one or two disagreements. It can shape entire workplace cultures or even communities. Speaking of how these dynamics shape behaviour, Girard's ideas feel even more relevant today. Think about mimetic desire in the context of social media and marketing. These platforms practically thrive on it, don't they?
Absolutely. It's everywhere you look. Social media is practically a playground for mimetic desire. Platforms like Instagram and TikTok, they thrive on showing us what others have and what we should want. It's all about curating what's desirable, often based on what's popular or trending among others.
Yeah, and it's like the algorithm is the perfect enabler. It feeds us stuff that we see other people chasing, which just amplifies the cycle. Everyone's trying to one-up the next person with the latest, sneaker drop or gadget. The whole thing's a race built on imitation.
Exactly. And it's not just consumerism. Think about how viral competition works. A viral TikTok challenge or a trending hashtag sparks this domino effect of people imitating the same actions, often without deeply considering why they're doing it. It mirrors Girard's point about how rivalry escalates when everyone's chasing the same goal.
And then there's the dark side of it, right? Cancel culture. It's like a modern scapegoat mechanism. A person or brand gets singled out, and suddenly there's this wave of collective outrage. Girard would have had a field day analysing that dynamic.
You're absolutely right. Cancel culture often starts with mimetic desire turned sour, the collective anger, the projection of blame. These are all tied to what Girard talked about with scapegoating. It becomes about uniting against one target to feel a sense of resolution, even though it rarely solves the deeper issues at play.
Yeah, kind of like digital age mob mentality. And it's fascinating and honestly a bit scary how quickly it can spread. But the question is, how do we break out of it, How do we stop perpetuating the cycle?
That's the big challenge, isn't it? Girard's work hints at some answers, though. He believed in raising awareness about these patterns, about how imitation and rivalry shape our behaviours. In practical terms, education is a key piece of the puzzle. We need to help people recognise these dynamics before they spiral out of control.
For sure. And I've seen programs in the tech space, especially around inclusivity, make a real difference. Stuff like fostering environments where collaboration overrides competition. That's where we start breaking this cycle, when we stop pitting people against each other and start valuing collective success.
That's a great point. And technology itself can play a role too. With AI and data analytics, there's potential to counteract mimetic desire patterns. For example, platforms can focus on promoting content diversity and encouraging creativity rather than feeding hyper-competitive rivalries.
Yeah, but I guess we've got to be intentional about it, right? Technology can reinforce these dynamics if we're not careful. It's not just about tools, it's about how we humans use them.
Exactly, Andrew. At the end of the day, it's on all of us to be more reflective about the things we desire and how much of that is influenced by others. Girard's theories are like a mirror, showing us our own tendencies and challenging us to think beyond them. It's about creating cultures of awareness and inclusivity.
And on that note, that's all for today. René Girard and his work give us so much to think about, from why we desire, what we desire, to how we treat each other when tensions rise. Kate, as always, fascinating conversation.
Same here, Andrew. Girard's insights really do resonate, even decades later. Thanks to everyone for joining us, and we'll see you next time. That wraps up another insightful conversation with Kate. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you've enjoyed our discussion. Until next time.